Everyone tells the empath to run, leave, block, heal, move on. And most empaths try. They really do. They journal, they go to therapy, they read every book about narcissistic abuse they can find. They build their walls back up brick by brick. And just when they think they are finally free, just when they think they have escaped, the narcissist finds a way back in. Not always physically, sometimes just a memory, a text, a look across a room, and suddenly everything the empath worked so hard to build begins to crumble. Because here's the truth nobody is saying out loud. The empath has been playing defense their entire life, protecting, retreating, shrinking, and defense never wins. Not against a narcissist. Not ever. So today, we are not talking about running. We're not talking about healing in silence, or waiting for the narcissist to magically change, or hoping the universe will intervene on your behalf. Today, we are talking about something completely different. Something that will feel uncomfortable at first, maybe even wrong, because it goes against everything you have been taught about what it means to be an empath. We are talking about what happens when an empath stops being the prey and starts operating from a place of such profound psychological power that the narcissist, the same person who dismantled you piece by piece, begins to orbit you, depend on you, need you in a way that they cannot articulate and cannot escape. Not because you manipulated them, not because you played games or became something cold and calculating, but because you finally understood something they never wanted you to understand about yourself. Let me be very direct before we go any further. The word slave in this title is not about revenge. It is not about control or cruelty. It is about an involuntary psychological shift that happens inside the narcissist when the empath masters something specific. Something the narcissist has spent their entire life trying to destroy in others because it is the one thing they can never possess themselves. And when an empath develops this quality fully, when it becomes not just a practice but an identity, the narcissist loses every weapon they ever had. And what you are left with is a person who once made you feel worthless, now unable to stop thinking about you, unable to replace you, unable to move on. Not because you chased them, but because you became unchallengeable. Now, before we get into the exact mechanism of how this works, and we will get into it in precise detail, I need you to understand something about the narcissist's psychology that most content gets completely wrong. Most people describe narcissists as confident, powerful, in control, and from the outside, that is exactly what they look like. But underneath the performance, underneath the grandiosity, the manipulation, the calculated cruelty, is something so fragile, so desperate, that if you saw it clearly, you would almost feel sorry for them. Almost. The narcissist is addicted to one thing above everything else. Not power, not admiration, not even control, though they pursue all of those things aggressively. The narcissist is addicted to predictability. Specifically, they are addicted to being able to predict how you will respond to them. They need to know that when they pull away, you will chase, that when they criticize, you will shrink, that when they gaslight, you will doubt yourself, that when they give you a crumb of affection, you will light up like everything is suddenly okay. This predictability is not just comfortable for the narcissist. It is their oxygen. It is the structural foundation of their entire sense of power. Because if they can predict you, they can control you. And if they can control you, they feel safe. And for the narcissist, feeling safe, feeling invulnerable, is the only thing that silences the unbearable noise inside them. This is why empaths are so uniquely targeted by narcissists. Not because empaths are weak, that is the biggest lie in this entire conversation. Empaths are targeted because they are extraordinarily easy to predict in the early stages of relationship. The empath's love is consistent. Their forgiveness is almost automatic. Their capacity to see the good in people even when the evidence points the other way. That quality that makes empaths so beautiful is exactly what makes them so readable to the narcissist. The narcissist learns the empath's pattern within weeks.
Sometimes press here, get apology. Withdraw here, get pursuit. Criticize here, get self-doubt. It becomes a formula, and the narcissist runs that formula on repeat because it works, until it does not. And here's where everything changes. Here is the moment that flips the entire dynamic upside down and begins the psychological shift that the title of this video is describing. The moment an empath becomes genuinely, completely, irreversibly unpredictable. Not strategically, not as a game, but as a natural consequence of a profound internal transformation. The narcissist's entire operating system crashes. The formula stops working.
They no longer have the hollow places that need external filling. They no longer look to the narcissist or to anyone to confirm their worth, validate their perception, or make them feel real. They are already real, completely, quietly, unshakably real to themselves. And when the narcissist encounters this version of the empath, something happens that the narcissist has no category for. They feel it before they can name it, a kind of gravity, the same way anyone feels the gravitational pull of a person who is completely at home in themselves. Except for the narcissist, it is not simply attractive, it is magnetic in the most compulsive sense of that word. Because this empath represents the one thing the narcissist has pursued their entire life and never been able to manufacture: genuine self-possession. A soft that does not need to be confirmed by anyone. A person who is simply completely enough, not as a performance, not as a strategy, but as a lived reality. The narcissist cannot replicate this, cannot steal it, cannot undermine it, cannot manipulate their way into possessing it. And what we cannot possess, cannot control, and cannot destroy, that is what consumes us. That is what follows us. That is what we orbit helplessly, long after we have told ourselves we have moved on. This is the mechanism behind the title of this video. This is what it actually means when an empath reaches this stage. The narcissist does not become a slave in the crude literal sense. What happens is more precise than that and more devastating to the narcissist psychology. That impulse, the impulse to make sure they see, to make sure they know, to perform your healing in front of them so they feel the weight of what they lost, that impulse is the last thread of the old dynamic trying to pull you back in. Release it. Your wholeness is not a message you send them. It is simply the life you build quietly, solidly, without audience. And the narcissist will find out. They always do. Not because you told them, but because a person who has become genuinely, completely themselves leaves a kind of impression on the world that travels further than they know. Here's where I want to leave you. Not with a strategy, not with a list of things to do or say or perform, but with a single question that I want you to carry with you and sit with honestly. What would your life look like if you gave yourself right now, today, not after more healing, not after more therapy, not after the narcissist finally acknowledges what they did, the same depth of compassion, the same fierce loyalty, the same inexhaustible patience that you gave to someone who was never capable of deserving it? Because that is the whole answer. That is all of it. The protection, the power, the shift in dynamic, the narcissist succession, your freedom, all of it lives inside that one redirection from them to you, from waiting to becoming, from surviving the relationship